Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න. Work and learn. Meet Light Meet Max. සක්‍රිය කර ගැනීමට MySLT app එකට log වෙන්න.
The Spotless Glow Expert. Navapon's Bright Beauty Serum Cream.
හරිම සුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Saturday the 17th of December 2022. All in favour. Chinese officials agree to join Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable. On the double, police recalled statements from 23 suspects regarding Shafter murder. Says investigations are carried out rapidly to solve murder. Warnings. Met Department warns of showers of above 150 millilitres to befall island in the coming days. Landslide in illegal camping ground in Malaysia kills 24 campers, including 7 children.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9 with Andrew Bernard. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very good evening and welcome to AdaDerana 24's English News. Now, Chief of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, announced that Chinese authorities have agreed to take part in a global sovereign debt roundtable with the participation of many stakeholders. She went on to say that the Chinese authorities agreed to have the meeting with the participation of key creditors, while the World Bank, the IMF and the G20 presidency act as conveners.
Chinese authorities have agreed to participate in a global sovereign debt roundtable that would include a wide variety of stakeholders, including private sector creditors. Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, made this announcement on Thursday during an event hosted by the IMF. She said that she was feeling a little more optimistic about the prospects of dealing with the major debt issues faced by low and middle income countries after high-level meetings with Chinese authorities last week. Last week, IMF Chief Georgieva said that she had a fruitful exchange with her Chinese counterparts on the need to accelerate debt relief for countries like Zambia and Sri Lanka, adding that she saw space for a platform for more systemic engagement on debt issues where China can play an active role. She also went on to say that she had a very constructive engagement with Chinese leaders on the debt issue during her meetings after repeated calls for reforms to accelerate debt treatments under the Group of 20 Common Framework and expand it to include middle-income countries. Georgieva said the discussions in China yielded some progress. She went on to say that while the roundtable meeting will include key creditors, some of the borrowers and the private sector, the World Bank, the IMF and the G20 presidency can act as the conveners of the meeting. The IMF chief went on to say that they cannot have solutions for systemic risk with the parties to this solution being in different rooms and not talking to each other at the same time. This just cannot happen. She added that the proposed roundtable offered a structure to help improve the debt treatment process and avoid a systemic debt crisis.
Now, the Committee of Senior Officials to establish an independent institution for the planning and monitoring of national policies has been tasked with forming a new national policy for the next 25 years in line with the vision of the President. The final report of the new policies is due to be submitted to the Attorney General's Department by the 15th of January 2023.
The inaugural meeting of the Committee of Senior Officials to establish an independent institution for planning and monitoring national policies was recently held at the Presidential Secretariat under the leadership of the Secretary to the President, Saman Ekanayaka. The Secretary to the Prime Minister, Anura Dissanayaka, and Chairman of the Finance Commission, Sumit Abesinghe, were also present at the meeting, along with several other high-ranking state officials. The Committee of Senior Officials for the establishment of an independent institution for planning and monitoring national policies was appointed under a subcommittee established in line with the 21st Amendment to the Constitution. The Committee of Senior Officials was entrusted with the responsibility of formulating a national policy for the next 25 years from the year 2023 in line with the vision of the President. Accordingly, the Secretary to the President instructed the committee to send proposals for the formulation of a new national policy to the President's office before the 20th of December, while explaining the importance of taking into account the national policies that have been implemented in the country previously. He further stated that the draft of the new national policy will be ready by the 27th of December and that it will be taken up for discussion by the committee members, while the final report will be forwarded to the Attorney General's Department by the 15th of January 2023 for legal drafting.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe says that in exercising Sri Lanka's non-aligned stance, relations with other nations need to be cordial. The President made these observations speaking at the 97th passing out parade of the cadet officers of the Diyatalava Military Academy. At the ceremony, the President also highlighted that it is in the best interest of the country to remain non-aligned to any power blocs of the world.
Earlier today, the 97th passing out parade of the cadet officers of the Diyatalava Military Academy was held under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. 351 cadet officers who completed their training at the Diyatalava Military Academy were commissioned at the passing out ceremony. Speaking at the event, the President highlighted the importance of Sri Lanka remaining as a non-aligned nation and the responsibilities of the government and the army to make sure that the country remains non-aligned.
අපි පොඩි දූපතක් ඉන්දියන් සාගරයේ මැද අපි පුඩා රටක් අපි ලෝක බලවතුන් සමග එක එක පිළට එකතු වෙලා නැහැ අපි කිසිම පිළකට අපි වෙනම ගිවිසුම් ඇති කරන්නට යන්නේ නැහැ ඉතින් අපි ඉන්නේ කුඩා රටක් හැටියට මේ ලෝකේ තනි රටක් හැටියට එහෙම කුඩා රටවල් තනියම ඉන්න රටවල් ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා අන්න එහෙම අවස්ථාවකදී ආණ්ඩුවේ යුතුයකම් තියෙනවා රටවල් එක්ක මිත්‍රභාවය ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඔබේ යුතුයකම තියෙන්නේ මේ රට ආරක්ෂා කරන්න අභ්‍යන්තරයෙන් ඕ පිටතින් එන හැම තර්ජනයකටම හැම අභියෝගයකටම මූණ දෙන්න. ඔබ ඇතුල් වෙන හමුදාව යුද්ධ අත්දැකීම් ඇති හමුදාවක්. දශක දෙකකට වඩා වැඩි කාලයක් යුද්ධ කළා විනයක් අත්දැකීමක් ඇති හමුදාවක්. අද එක්සත් ජාතීන් වෙනුවෙන් මාලි රටේ ජනරජයේ සේවය කරන හමුදාවක්. මේ හමුදාවට තමයි ඔබ ඇතුල් වෙන්නේ. ඒ නායකත්වය ගන්නවා නම් ඔබට ශක්තිමත් චරිතයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ශක්තිමත් චරිතයක් නැතුව වෙනෙන චරිතයක් එක්ක මේ හමුදාවේ ඒ අවස්ථාවේදී ක්‍රියා කරන එක අමාරුයි දුෂ්කර කටයුත්තක්.
Now, 23 suspects along with former cricket commentator Brian Thomas were questioned by the police in connection to the murder of prominent businessman Dinesh Shaffer. The police told the media today that investigations are currently underway to apprehend the perpetrator of the murder.
Director of Janashakti Group and prominent Sri Lankan businessman Dinesh Shafter was found bound and strangled in his vehicle on Thursday adjacent to the Borala cemetery. However, he succumbed to his injuries upon admission to the Colombo National Hospital. The subsequent post-mortem revealed the cause of death as strangulation. Currently, the remains of Dinesh Shafter have been laid at his house located down Flower Road in Colombo 7. In the meantime, police media spokesperson SSP Nihal Thalduva said that the police have so far recorded statements from 23 suspects. Among the list of suspects is cricket commentator Brian Thomas. With this being the case, the Colombo Additional Magistrate Court has issued a travel ban on Brian Thomas, barring him from overseas travel. Prior to his murder on Thursday night, Shafter had informed one of the CEOs of his companies that he would meet former cricket commentator Brian Thomas before he left his residence at 2 p.m. on the same day.
බ්‍රයන් තෝමස් කියන මහත්මයාගෙන් කෝටි 143ක මුදලක් ඔහුට ලැබෙන්න තියෙනවා කියලා අපරාධ පක්ෂ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව පැමිණිල්ලක් දැනට වසර කිහිපයකට පෙර සිදු කරලා තියෙනවා. ඊට අදාළ විමර්ශන කටයුතු සිදු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම බ්‍රයන් තෝමස් මහත්තයාත් මේ සම්බන්ධව අත්අඩංගුවටපත් වෙලා ඔහුව අපමත නිදහස් වෙලා ඉන්නේ මේ වෙන විට. නමුත් ගරු අධිකරණය මේ සම්බන්ධ නඩු විභාග වෙනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් යම්කිසි ආකාරයක අවධානය යොමු වෙලා විමර්ශන කටයුතු සිදු කරාට කිසිම ආකාරයක මෙතෙක් තහවුරු වීමක් නැහැ. ඒ පුද්ගලයාගේ කිසිම සම්බන්ධතාවයක් පිළිබඳව මෙතෙක් අනාවරණය වීමක් නැහැ. නමුත් අපිට තිබෙන තොරතුරු ඔස්සේ අපි විමර්ශන කටයුතු සිදු කරනු ලබනවා.
The police media spokesperson further elaborated on the status of the investigation.
මේ මනුෂ්‍ය ඝාතනය සම්බන්ධව පැතිකඩවල් කීපයක් ඔස්සේ මේ වන විට විමර්ශන කටයුතු සිදු වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ වන විට දුරකථන අංක විශ්ලේෂණය කරමින් CCTV කැමරා දර්ශන නිරීක්ෂණය කරමින් කණ්ඩායම් කීපයක්ම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. ඒ අදාළ තොරතුරු රැස් කර ගැනීම සඳහා මෙම මියගිය පුද්ගලයා මෙම ව්‍යාපාරිකයා සම්බන්ධව තිබෙන තොරතුරු ඒ වගේම ඔහුට එරෙහිව යම් පොලිස් ස්ථානවල ඒ වගේම අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ යොමු වෙලා තිබෙන පැමිණිලි ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි ඔහුගේ වෙනත් ව්‍යාපාරික කටයුතු සහ ඒ සම්බන්ධතාවයන් මේ සියලු කටයුතු කෙරෙහි අවධානය යොමු වෙලා තිනවා. තවදුරටත් විමර්ශන ඉතාම කඩිනමින් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා. මෙහි අපරාධකරුවන් කවුද කියලා සොයාගන්න නුදුරු දින කිහිපය තුනම අපට මේ සම්බන්ධව නිසි හෝඩුවාවක් සහිතව විමර්ශන කටයුතු සාර්ථකව මේ අපරාධකරුවන් කවුද කියන එක හොයාගන්නට හැකියාව ලැබෙයි කියන විශ්වාසය විමර්ශන නිලධාරීන් විසින් පළ කරනවා.
Now the driver of the December 10th accident at Kolpeti resulting in one fatality has been granted bail today. He was released on two personal bail of 500,000 rupees each and needed to report to the Kolpeti police at the end of each month. A travel ban and a suspension of his driver's license were imposed until the remainder of the court case, while the court also impounded both the driver's license and his passport. The next court hearing is scheduled to occur on the 9th of February 2023.
It's hard to keep up with the new when you're listening to the same old Slim Brand Week. A week for professionals.
Now expect heavy rains in the next few days, and a low pressure area that is brewing in the Bay of Bengal will dump heavy deluge across some parts of Sri Lanka. According to the Met Department, heavy rainfalls of about 150 millimeters can be expected at several areas in the eastern province. Further heavy showers of about 100 millimeters can also expected in the Uva and central provinces, in the Polonnaruwa and Hambantota districts as well.
Owing to the low pressure area in the vicinity over southeast Bay of Bengal, the Department of Meteorology today issued an advisory for heavy rains and strong winds for several areas across the country. Accordingly, the department stated that heavy rainfalls of above 150 millimeters can be expected at several areas in the eastern province, and heavy showers of above 100 millimeters can be expected in the Uva and central provinces and in the Polonnaruwa and Hambantota districts. Meanwhile, fairly heavy falls of about 75 millimeters are expected at several places elsewhere over the island as well. The Met Department meanwhile requested the naval and fishing communities to remain vigilant while engaging in marine activities in the sea areas, adding that temporarily strong gusty winds and very rough seas can be expected during thunder showers. The department further added that wind speed will increase up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, and showers or thunder showers can be expected in deep sea areas of Southeast Bay of Bengal and Southwest Bay of Bengal. Further, the sea areas off the coast extending from Trincomalee to Hambantota via Batticaloa, Potuville and Kankasanture to Colombo via Manna and Putlam are expected to be rough at times. Furthermore, the general public has been advised to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers.
An anti-narcotic raid was carried out recently in 122 schools island-wide after many reports of children befalling victims to the narcotic drugs came to light. The raid bore results where several kilograms of drugs were confiscated, while 75 individuals involved in distributing these drugs were taken into police custody.
Subsequent to a series of police raids covering 122 schools in the country, the police have been able to confiscate 15 grams of crystal methamphetamine, also known as ice, 9 grams of heroin, 2 kilograms of mawa, and 10 narcotic pills. During an event held today, the Deputy Inspector General of the Police stated that 75 individuals have been arrested in this regard.
ඊයේ පාසල් 122ම ඉලක්ක කරගෙන කරපු මෙහෙයුමේදී මාවා කියලා කියන මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය වර්ගයේ කිලෝ 2යි ග්‍රෑම් 148ක් අහුවෙලා තියෙනවා. හෙරොයින් ග්‍රෑම් 9යි මිලිග්‍රෑම් 300කුත් මත් කරල් 10කුත් මේකේ ඊයේ දවල් අතරමටවත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. පුද්ගලයෝ 75 දෙනෙක්ව අතරට අරන් තිනවා මේ වගේ සම්බන්ධකම් තියෙනවා. දෙහිවල පොලිස් වසමේ තමයි මාවා කිලෝ 2 අහුවෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ පුද්ගලයා බෑග් එක දාගෙන ඉස්කෝල ළමයි ඇරන වෙලාවට අංගම වෙලදාමේ දෙනවා. මෙයාගේ දුරකථන අංකය අනුව සමහර ළමයි දන්නවා මෙයාගේ අංකය කෝල් කරලා කතා කරලා ඉවරලා ඉදි ගන්නවා.
The Senior Deputy Inspector General of the Police also spoke of various kinds of narcotics that school children are addicted to.
දරුවෝ ගොඩක් පෙළඹිලා තියෙන්නේ මේ දුම්කොළ ආශ්‍රිතව නොයෙකුත් ගුලි වර්ග හදලා තියෙනවා. පාසල් ගාව සිල්ලර කඩවල වලින් උදේ යද්දි ටොපියක් වගේ මේක අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා හක්කේ නැත්තම් දිවයට මේ ගුලිය තියාගෙන තමයි පන්ති කාමරේ අධ්‍යාපනය ලබන්නේ. ඊළඟ පුවක් ආශ්‍රිතව පුවක් වලට ඒවා අස්සට මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය දාලා පුවක් රස ගන්නලා ඉවරලා දෙනවා මේක ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ පුතා මේක මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය නෙමෙයි නිකන් පුවක් කෑල්ලක් කන්නකෝ ඇවිල්ලා. ටික දවසක් යද්දී එයාට ඒකේ මත්ගතිය මදි. ඊට පස්සේ එයා අත තියෙනවා ගංජා වල. ඒකත් මදි වෙද්දී එයා අත තියෙනවා අවුරුදු 16ක් 17ක් වෙද්දී අයිස් මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය වල. අයිස් මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය පාවිච්චි කරගෙන පස්සේ අවුරුද්දක් දැක්කේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම එයාගේ ස්නායු පද්ධතිය විනාශ වෙලා එයා අකර්මණ්‍ය වෙච්ච පුද්ගලයෙක් වෙනවා. 2022 වර්ෂය තුල හෙරොයින් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 1441ක් වැටලීම් සිදු කරලා තියෙනවා 45948ක්. ඒ වගේම පුද්ගලයන් 45801 දෙනෙක් අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ගංජා සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගත්තොත් කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 11881ක් අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙනවා. පුද්ගලයන් 34062ක් අත්අඩංගුවට අරගෙන තියෙනවා. අයිස් කියන මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය කිලෝග්‍රෑම් 109ක් අත්අඩංගුවට ගෙන තියෙනවා. පුද්ගලයන් 10532ක් අත්අඩංගුවට ගෙන තිබෙනවා.
Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, promoted Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishant Thanna to the rank of Admiral effective today. He was appointed as the 24th Commander of the Sri Lankan Navy on the 15th of July in 2020. Upon being promoted to the 4-star rank, Admiral Thanna arrived at the Navy headquarters early today, where he was accorded a Guard of Honour. Admiral Thanna joined the Sri Lankan Navy as an officer cadet of the 13th in deck of the Sri Lankan Navy in 1985. After having rendered remarkable service to the Navy and the country, with a career spanning over 37 years, the Admiral is set to retire from service tomorrow. Now, following the policy update by the Federal Reserve, the Dow Jones Index dropped 142 points on Wednesday, plunged by 764 points on Thursday and declined further yesterday. The move came as a recession looms next year, with the Fed warning that rate hikes may continue on even as the economy slips into recession.
Stocks dropped yesterday, building on their year-end sell-off as fears grew over a recession taking place as the Federal Reserve continues raising rates. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.85% to 32,920.46, while the S&P 500 fell 1.11% to 3,852.36. Meanwhile, the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite declined 0.97% to 10,705.41. The indexes notched a second consecutive week of losses. The S&P 500 fell 2.08% for the week and putting its December losses at 5.58% as hopes for a year-end rally fizzle. The Dow and Nasdaq slipped 1.7% and 2.7% respectively. Trading was especially volatile yesterday, with $2.6 trillion worth of index options expiring. At session lows, the Dow was down as much as 547.63 points before paring back some of those losses. The sell-off was broad-based, with 3 stocks falling for every advancer at the New York Stock Exchange. Stocks fell this week in the wake of the Fed's 50 basis point interest rate hike on Wednesday, the highest rate in 15 years. The central bank said it would continue hiking rates through 2023 to 5.1%, a larger figure than previously expected.
Now, the US Energy Department said yesterday it will begin buying back oil for the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the first purchase since this year's record 180 million barrel release from the stockpile. The department said buying oil back at about current prices in an opportunity to secure a good deal for American taxpayers by repurchasing oil at a lower price than $96 per barrel, average price it was sold for, as well as to strengthen the energy security.
The department will buy up to 3 million barrels for delivery in February, a senior official told reporters. President Joe Biden announced the $180 million sale in late March to combat surging gasoline prices that boosted inflation after the February invasion of Ukraine by Russia, the world's largest exporter of fossil fuels. The sale shrunk levels in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to about 380 million barrels, their lowest since 1984, raising concerns about energy security. Contracts will be awarded to energy companies by the 13th of January. According to official sources, this approach is expected to lock in a price upfront when companies submit their bids. The White House said in October it would buy back oil for the Strategic Reserve when prices are at or below $67 to $72 per barrel, a bit below where the US benchmark futures were trading yesterday at about $75. Purchasing oil back at about current prices is viewed by the Department of Energy as an opportunity to secure a good deal for American taxpayers by repurchasing oil at a lower price than the $96 per barrel average price it was sold, while strengthening energy security.
And that's all the news we have for this evening. Join us again tomorrow for the very latest news at the very same time. Have a pleasant evening and good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.